Good morning to all. This is Anil Kumar Reddy, and this is the first video. This is the first video regarding the subject called networks, signals, and systems. In this semester, I'm going to deal this subject for third year students. I think it's pretty essential for third years to have this subject because as they are moving in their study progress, they will try to learn new things, but at the same time they are going to, at least some of them are going to forget or ignore basic concepts. But this subject will give you a very quick revision and very good revision about all the basics that you have learned in your previous semesters. Okay, so in this subject, let me tell you, yes, in this subject you are going to learn all the things that you have learned in your previous semester. Okay, so the subject name is networks, signals, and systems. Okay, now, so first you need to understand what is a network. Before that, first I will try to give you an idea about all the subject. So in first unit, you are going to learn a very basic concept right from Ohm's law. Ohm's law, mesh analysis, nodal analysis, and so on. And in second unit, you are going to learn about two-port networks and also synthesis. So this synthesis part you have never read in your previous semester. So this is the first time you are going to be introduced with the concept of synthesis. So it is pretty much easy if you understand the basic concepts. Also, you are going to learn about locus diagrams. Okay, so in your third and fourth units. Again, in fifth unit, you are going to learn about network functions and their types. Again, half of the syllabus of fifth unit is again synthesis. So if you learn second unit perfectly, then half of the fifth unit is also completed. So that is the advantage of this syllabus and subject. Okay, so this is the name of this subject: networks, signals, and systems. So basically, if you read this subject, you will get an idea about what is a network and how many types of signals are there and what are the applications, including synthesis. So this is the basic idea of your our subject. Now let us look into unit 1. So unit 1 is all about basic concepts again. So let us look into the introduction of unit 1. Before going to introduction, let me tell you the concepts or contents of first unit. So first content is terminologies in network analysis. So circuit analysis, network analysis, circuit theory, network theory, all are same. No need to think differently. They are all same. Okay. But there is a slight difference between circuit and a network that I will tell you in coming classes. Okay. So first topic of this unit is terminologies in network analysis. Okay. So second topic is elements and sources, which means you are going to classify all the elements in networks. Okay. Next, linearity and non-linearity. So you are going to understand the concepts of linearity and non-linearity. That is the third concept. Next, fourth topic is distributed and lumped parameters. So you are going to learn about what is a distributed parameter and what is a lumped parameter. So that is the fourth one. Next, fifth one is network analysis. So fifth concept is the real deal of this unit. So until distributed and lumped parameters, you're not going to do much. Means you're not going to solve any problems. They are just theoretical concepts, which means definitions. Okay. So from now you're going to start the real analysis, and this analysis I think you have already done in your previous semester. No need to worry about it. Okay. So network analysis includes mesh analysis. So you know what is mesh analysis. Okay, I will explain you in detail with a problem. No, so I don't see any, uh, you know what? I don't see any urgency to talk about mesh analysis. So next, nodal analysis. Again, source transformation. Once you are good at types of elements, then you can easily understand what is source transformation. And finally, you are going to learn about star delta transformations, or you can say star delta conversions. So these are the contents or topics of first unit. I think all the topics you are well aware. Okay. So no need to be worried. Next. Now let us look into the terminologies. Now let us look into the terminologies. Okay. So terminologies means these are the regular or very important words that you are going to define, or if you are going to understand a concept, then you need all these words and their meanings. So first, so in this context, so I will tell you what is a network and what is a circuit. Here you can see in this diagram, so you have so many elements, particularly resistors, that are connected to form a network. Okay, you can call this as a network. Also, you can call it as a circuit. There is no much difference. But the diagram that is drawn here cannot be called as a circuit. You can only call it as a network. Okay, I will tell you why. Here you can see in the first diagram on left side, you can see, so you have a, you don't have any closed path here. So you don't have any closed path here. You know what is a closed path. So first you need to understand the definitions of circuit and a network. Then you can say whether the given diagram is a circuit or a network. So circuit means closed path. Closed path is known as circuit. Okay, so that is the definition of a circuit. And now, so network is a connection of elements, you can say. So network is a connection of elements, circuit is a closed path. And according to this definition, you can call this as a network because some elements are connected to form a network. So you can call it as a network. Also, you can see a closed path here. Okay, a closed path. So this is called as a circuit. So you can call this diagram as a circuit as well as network, because to be precise, if you want to call a particular diagram as a circuit, it must have at least one closed path in it. Okay, as you can see in this diagram, you have one closed path. These two are open paths, so which means there is no path to flow current. Therefore, these are, these cannot be called as closed paths, but this can be called as a closed path. Therefore, so this is not a closed path, this is not a closed path, but you have one closed path here. So due to this reason you can call it as a circuit, or you can call it as network. Okay, now see here, the diagram here that is drawn here, you cannot call it as a circuit, you can only call it as a network. I will tell you the reason why. Here, if a current is trying to flow in this path, there is no connected element between x and y. So which means there is no closed path. Since you don't have any closed path, okay, since you don't have any closed path, you cannot term it as a circuit. Therefore, you can only call it as a network. Okay. So that is the difference between a circuit and a network. That is a slight difference. So you can conclude one point here, that is every circuit can be called as a network. So you can definitely call every circuit as a network, but not all the networks or circuits, which means you cannot call every network as a circuit. So this is the example. So diagram on the left side can be called as circuit or network, but the diagram on the right side here cannot be called it as a circuit. You can only call it as a network. So that is the difference. You understand? Next. So these are the important, basic, very basic concepts. Now let us look into some more concepts. Let us dive into deep into dive deep into a circuit, basic concepts of the circuit. Now, so first you need to understand the term called node, NODE, node. So node means, as you can see, node is a connection of two, and which means at least two branches must be, or at least two elements must be connected. Or if you are connecting more than two, then also no problem. So here in this diagram, can you tell me how many nodes are there? So this is a node because 1 ohm branch, 50 ohm branch, and 5 ohm branch are connected at this point. Let us take this as node 1. Okay, can you tell me where is the other node? Here it is. So this is node 2. Okay, and also you can say this is a node 3. So there are 3 nodes in this circuit. Okay, and one more important point is you cannot take this as a node here. You cannot take this as a node because this is a element, resistive element, but this is not an element. So that is you can call it as a short circuit, or you can say same extension. Okay, so this is a short circuit. So if you are connecting a short circuit wire and an element at a point, you cannot take this as a node. You understand? You cannot take this as a node. So these are the common mistakes that the people do. Okay, so if you want to call a point as a node, then it has to be connected with only elements, but not by short circuit. Okay, so here this is a node 1, this is node 2, and this is node 3. Also you can call these nodes, NODs nodes, as junction. So node can also be called as a junction. In some textbooks you can find it as a junction. Okay, next. Now we will be looking into branch. Okay, so we will be looking into the definition of a branch. So branch means, as you can see here, connection between two nodes. Suppose if x is a node and 1 is a node, so there are two nodes. Or okay, I will not take this as a node. I will not take this as a node because there is no source connected there. Let us take nodes 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Okay. So a 5 ohm branch is connected between 1 and 2. Like that I can say, which means, so branch is a connection between two nodes is known as branch. So can you tell me how many branches are there? Okay. So 1 and 2. So here it is 1. So a branch connected between 1 and 3. Okay. First node and third node. 50 ohm branch is connected. Two branches, and branch that is connected between 2 and 3 is 10 ohms. That is third branch. So there are three branches in this diagram. If you consider 1 and 2 and 3 are only nodes. But if you consider x, y, z as nodes, then number of branches will increase. Okay. So that is the basic definition of a node or a branch. Okay. So now let us look into the other concept. So now we will be looking into the other concepts, other terminologies, that is charge. So what is a charge? So charge can be created. How can you create a charge? You cannot create charge. But if you take an atom, you know what is atom? Atom is a basic building block of matter. Okay. So if you take an atom will have a nucleus, and around the nucleus electrons are revolving around the nucleus. By adding external force or by taking external force, if you pull one electron out of the atom, neutral atom, then the rest of the atom will become positive charge. A single electron that is pulled out will become negative charge. Okay. So basically there are two types of charges in nature. So positive charge and negative charge. So charge is denoted by the letter Q. Charge is denoted by the letter Q, and the units of charge is coulomb. Okay. Now let us talk about current or define current. So current is defined as the rate of flow of charge. The rate of flow of charge is known as current. That's it. So, but in most of you will say flow of electrons is known as charge. Most of you will say that definition, but that is not perfectly correct. It is correct in a halfway, because charge can be a positive or a negative, but you are not telling about the positive charges. So that is not fully correct. It is only half correct. Therefore, if you want to say current definition perfectly, so this is the definition. Rate of flow of charge is known as current. So current is denoted by the letter I, and the units of current are amperes denoted by A. Okay. So now next we will be looking into the other definition called voltage, or you can call it as electromotive force. In some textbooks you can find potential or potential difference. So there are, these are the names of voltage. Whatever name you call, you can still call it as voltage. So voltage or EMF or potential difference. Okay. So this is the definition. So it is the amount of work done to move a unit charge from one point to the other point in the circuit. Suppose if you take a circuit, okay, if you want to move a charge from positive terminal to negative terminal, it takes some work. So that work or that force is known as, so it is the force, name itself is indicating EMF, means electromotive force. So electromotive force means it is a force that is acted on the electrons to move from positive terminal, sorry, negative terminal to positive terminal. So that is a force. Therefore, you can call it as electromotive force. You can call it as voltage, or you can call it as potential difference. Okay. So voltage is denoted by the letter V. Okay, and the units of voltage is volts. Okay, next we are going to define power. Okay, what is power? Power is rate of work done. Rate of work done, or in some textbooks you can find power P is equal to energy divided by time. Okay, so you can call it as rate of work done. Rate of work done is known as power, denoted by the letter P, and the units of power is watt. Okay, next we will look into another term, that is energy. Energy denoted by the letter E. Energy is defined as it is multiplication of power and time. Okay, so that is the definition of energy. So energy can have two units, that is joule and watt hour, but in electrical engineering we always denote energy with watt hour. Okay, or you can in some cases we will call it as kilowatt hour or watt hour. Okay, so very rare cases we will try to express the energy in terms of joules. Okay, that is a very rare case. So these are the basic terminologies in first unit, or you can call these basic terminologies of electrical engineering also. So these are the basic concepts. Okay, so next we will be looking into elements. Okay, so elements are types of elements. Now we are going to classify based on their properties. So there are basic two basic types of elements. So active element and passive element. Okay, first we will talk about passive element. Passive element means it is an element which takes electrical energy. It is an element which takes electrical energy from other elements are known as passive elements. We have, and you can say what are the examples of passive elements. So light is a passive element in general. I'm talking about in general. Light is a passive element. Okay, motor is a passive element because it takes energy from the socket. Okay, your cell phone charger is a passive element. Okay, like that. So there are three passive elements we have. Basically, if you want to understand in an elementary level, then the basic three passive elements are resistor, inductor and capacitor. That's it. Okay, now so passive element is an element that takes energy from the other elements. Okay, now active element, that is another type. So I told you elements can be divided into two types, passive elements and active elements. So now active element means it is the type of an element which supplies or gives or delivers electrical energy to other elements. So they can generate electrical energy and they can give electrical energy to other elements. So they are called as active elements. So in general, I will give you two examples for active elements. So battery is an active element, okay, and generator is an active element. Okay. Now let us look into passive elements. Now let us look into passive elements. So basically we have only three types of passive elements. So basically we have three types of passive elements in electrical engineering. They are resistor, inductor and capacitor. Okay. So resistor means, so it is a property. Resistance means it is the property of a material which opposes the flow of current is known as resistance, and that element is known as resistor. So the an element which possess the property of resistance is known as resistor. Okay, and this is the symbol of a resistor, and the units of resistance or resistor is ohms, denoted by the Greek letter omega, and this is the value. So 1 is the value of the resistor, and omega is the unit of the resistor, and this is the symbol of a resistor. Now inductor. Okay, so inductor is nothing but a coil. You know what is coil? If you take a wire and if you wound around your hand or a finger, then it forms a coil. If you coil will have some energy storage capacity in the form of electromagnetic field, so you can call it as an inductor. Okay, so inductor is nothing but a coil. Okay, so this is the symbol of an inductor. So this is the symbol of an inductor. So inductor is denoted with the value of the inductor as well as unit. So H is the unit. H means Henry. Henry is the unit of an inductor. Now the other type of element is a capacitor. So how can you form a capacitor? If you take two parallel plates of capacitor of if you take two parallel plates and if you energize from both the sides, and in between two plates you will have a dielectric material. Okay, so that is nothing but a capacitor. So this is the symbol of a capacitor. Yeah, as you can see there are two parallel plates here. Okay, and one is the value for this capacitor, and F is the unit. So units of capacitance is what? Units of capacitance is farad. Okay, so these are the types of passive elements you have. So you have only three types of passive elements: resistor, inductor, and capacitor. Okay, now we will be looking into other concept, that is classification of active elements. So you have to understand one thing. What is an active element? Active element means it is an element which delivers energy to other types of elements, is known as active element. So active element is also known as sources or source. Source means it is the starting point of energy, we can say. So active elements are also known as sources. Okay, so this source can be divided into current sources and voltage sources. So you can always divide sources into two types: current sources and voltage sources. Again, voltage as well as current sources are divided into ideal current source and practical current source. Here, ideal voltage source and practical voltage source. But in reality, in reality, we don't have any ideal voltage source or ideal current source. So they are not practically realizable elements. But in order to understand practical voltage source and practical current source, these two sources will help you. Okay, so that is the reason why we are looking into ideal voltage source and ideal current source. Okay, next. So apart from ideal and practical, you can always classify sources into two types. So as you can see in this diagram, as you can see in this diagram, so active elements are given here: A, B, C, D. These are the active elements, and E, F, G. These are the passive elements. So you already know what is a passive element and its symbols. Okay, so no need to talk about these three elements. Now let us look into active elements. So active elements, these are the symbols. So for every element you have a symbol, definite symbol for each element. Okay, so this is the symbol for ideal voltage source. So this is the symbol for ideal voltage source, and this is the symbol for ideal current source. Okay, so voltage source will have polarities. Here you can see you have plus here and you have minus here. Here current source will have an arrow mark. You can see here it has an arrow mark upwards or downwards based on requirement we will place it. Okay, so these are the A and diagrams A and diagram C are independent sources. Independent sources. Okay, now can you tell me what is this? So this is a voltage source. You can see here V is there. Therefore, you can say it as voltage source. Also, you have polarity. If you have polarity, then you can say it as voltage source. If you have a direction like this, then you can say it as current source. Since you have polarities, you can say it as a voltage source. You can say it as a current source. But they are not independent sources. They are called as dependent sources. So you can call diagram B and diagram D as dependent sources. Okay. So if you want to define a dependent source, it is an active element. Okay. It is an active element. Its quantity or output is dependent on either voltage or current. Okay, so they are not self-reliant. They are dependent on some other values of voltage or currents. Therefore you can call them as dependent sources. So therefore this one and this one are called as dependent sources. Always dependent sources are denoted by diamond symbol. Okay, always dependent sources are denoted by diamond symbol. Always independent sources are denoted by a circle. Okay, so you cannot change it. Okay, next there are four types of dependent sources we have. So first one is VCVS. VCVS means it is a voltage source in which its value depends on some other value of voltage. Therefore you can call it as voltage dependent voltage source. So you can call it as voltage dependent voltage source. Similarly, you have current controlled current source, voltage controlled current source, current controlled current source. So in next video, we will discuss in detail about these sources. Okay. So these are the classifications of elements. Okay, so in next video we will talk about all the types of sources. So far we have seen only classification of a source, sorry, classification of elements as well as classification of sources. In next video we will be looking into types of sources. Okay, so thank you.